Good Tuesday, everybody, and welcome once again to another edition of Pins on Campus, where Jonathan and I are going to talk college bowling and anything else that we want to talk about. Jonathan, how you doing? One day home after a big weekend in Detroit.
Yeah, still catching up on some restful sleep. We had some early flights involved, both getting there and getting home. So need to catch up on a little bit of shut eye last night.
I do not like waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning to catch a flight.
You know what that shows, though? Committed to the grind.
We're grinding.
Yep.
So good show tonight. We are going to talk about our experience at the Great Lakes Junior Gold Showcase event. Jeff Wirtz and his fine organization that he has always has a collegiate showcase at Thunder Bowl, and a little bit of modifications this year, and we'll get into that a little bit. But an outstanding event once again, and a great opportunity to look at some of the talent in the upper Midwest, or what would you call that? Kind of the upper East.
Yeah, the Great Lakes region.
Yeah.
Ohio Valley area. Yeah.
You had a guy from Texas there, though.
Yeah, two. Me and him. No, it was he had an off weekend, so he wanted to come bowl something, and that was what was going on this week.
Yeah.
So they made the trip.
I will say this much, from what I have witnessed at that event, the well worth of the class of 2028 and 2029 is going to be really good.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, I'm going to say part of the characteristics of the field for this event was the abundance of 2028s and 2029s. You agree or disagree?
100%. We even saw some very talented 2030s thrown in the mix too. I mean, the future is bright for Scholastic bowling, no matter who you ask. When you go to an event like that and you just see the talent and the kids and how invested the families are into the sport and doing as much as they can, it was pretty impressive weekend for those classes.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the format. We have mentioned it on the show before, but why don't you tell everybody this is a unique event from the aspect of the way that we interact with the student athletes.
Yeah, and we talked about that kid that came all the way from Texas. My first question when I saw him was, well, what do you think of this? Because we don't have anything like it in our area of the country, and there's nothing like it, I would say, anywhere else. We'll leave Friday on its own island for right now, because I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But over the course of the weekend, there's a junior gold qualifying tournament, where the student athletes bowl 5 games, and there's a coaches info / social session, if you will. So this year, the guys and girls had their both independent day. So the girls bowled on Saturday, the guys bowled on Sunday. They started the morning off on their 5 games of qualifying. The field size on the guys' side was pretty good, so they actually had a lot of junior gold spots that they ended up giving out, which was really cool. They do that, then they go to lunch, and then after lunch, we spend time with each pair as we kind of filter through. And on average, I think on the men's side, it was about 6 to 8 bowlers per pair, and we got to spend 20 minutes with each of them, and we kind of rotated through the whole field almost, and then they have a little session at the end that we can catch up with anybody we missed. And then after that, we do the old trade show style thing, and the student athletes can come by the tables and talk to us. But the real impact, I would say, out of this event is that middle session where we get to watch them throw shots for 10 minutes. We get to talk to them for 10 minutes. They get to meet us. We get to meet them. And it could be, depending on the kind of coach we're talking about, it could be a boring, just monotonous, I got to stand here and go through 3.5 hours of all these different coaches that are going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it a little bit later, but me and Mark are not that way, if anybody already knows that. And so for them, it was a time for them to have a little bit of fun, a little bit of candor. We had great conversations. The talent level up there is the most impressive piece of the whole situation. But a lot of that has to do with events like –
and I think part of the good is what we do, and it's not I'm not saying this just because it's us. We want to see kids throw strikes. Now, everybody out there, believe me, I know the emphasis that needs to be placed on spares. But these kids were like, they were shocked that every time that we rotated over, we're like, no, I got the reset button. We just want to see strikes. Spares are overrated right now. We want to see X's. We want to see you throw X's. And they had fun doing that. And the interaction and the fun that took place, I mean, you could tell they were getting to the point there, the second half of the bottom side of the sine curve. They were a little tired.
Yeah.
And they were ready to go. And they were ready to move on. And then here we come. And I'm handing out money.
That's right.
Was I not?
Yeah, for the right answers.
Money
But
motivates.
you're right. Think about it. They bowled 5 pretty difficult games in the morning. That's already mentally taxing enough.
Yeah.
And then, if you're not the first group after lunch where they have the little burst of energy, it's easy to be flat, right? You come walking up and it's no longer flat.
So the way that interaction and the engagement that takes place with the student athletes, I think that is really, really good. So what's your good?
My good was when we got there on the lanes and we talked. This is that 10-minute session in which we're wanting them to throw strikes.
Yeah.
The interaction and the level of conversation and learning that was able to be packed in such a short amount of time was massive.
Yeah.
Because we broke down the game in a really simple way with really simple concepts. And we were asking them questions. Very easy to answer questions. But once you kind of applied all those things together and understood what in a holistic way we were talking about, it's like the light bulb started. Bing, 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 bing. That was the good, because they were like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And are you going to drastically help somebody throw it better in 10 minutes? No, but you can say which each pair we went to. By the time that 10 minutes was winding down, they were all throwing better shots with better balls in the better part of the lane, and they understood why. It wasn't just like, all right, we know the shots here, move here.
Events, and you don't see what I call the fadeaway happen. That what's going on, over there on that other pair where they're looking around, and stuff. Man, they were dialed in. The other cool thing, the parents were dialed in too.
Yep.
And that, the other thing, I got to mention this, right? The other good that really happened was on Sunday morning, we had a parent come up to us that was part of, I think she had a daughter in the girls section on the previous, and that made my day, man.
Yeah,
that was cool.
It was pretty early on Sunday. Like, I think we just had walked in the door, set stuff down, and we're walking over there. But she talked about the approach, and we have to find a way to stand out in that environment and in that crowd, because we are in foreign territory, with the exception of the one kid there from Texas. We're in foreign territory. They don't know who we are unless we saw them there before. We have to make that introduction and let them know what we're about. And there's only one way for us to do that, right? Is to do it our way.
Yeah.
And it's truthful, it's authentic, but it's rememberable. And so that was really cool for her to come up and shake our hands and say that. And that shows that they are listening and there's an impact being made.
Yeah.
Because, as of importance it is for the student athlete to hear that information as we're talking to them in those huddles and all that stuff. The parents, it's good information for them too.
Yep.
So the fact that they were dialed into what was going on was also cool to see.
All right, listen up. These next two, the bad and the ugly, it has no bearing on the effort that Jeff Wirtz puts forth to put this event on. Him and his wife, they do a tremendous job.
Yeah.
All right, a tremendous job. But my bad is just not enough time. And let me kind of drill down on that. When we get done with our sessions and the time then goes to where you can actually go and ask questions in front of the table settings, there's just not enough. There needs to be some modification be it time or format or sequence or whatever it is, to give the coaches a little bit more time in that setting. And how that is done, I don't know. Maybe it's, you throw some out there and see what sticks and kind of see what the players want. Because there were a lot of kids there on Sunday. And then when we went to go to the tables after the engagement taking place on the lanes, there was maybe 30%? Am I being generous there?
Yeah, that's about
Jonathan?
right. Yeah.
So is it bad from, the way that the word bad is? No. Could it be better? Absolutely. Now, what that answer is to make that portion better, I don't know. But you know what I'm going to do? I am going to talk to Jeff.
Yeah. I saw he made a post asking for feedback on his Facebook group today. That just shows what he likes from this event, right? And how he wants to make it better. Because he's always asking us coaches, what can I do for you guys? And then, he's listening into what the parents and the kids are saying. So I already saw a couple pieces of feedback that parents had put on that Facebook chat. And what's funny, Mark, is what you're talking about is what they were talking about.
Really? I haven't even seen it.
Yeah, they were talking about a little bit more time in that setting, maybe some better use of that lunch hour, right? Especially if we're going to be down there at the tables during that hour like we had been this past weekend. Some more utilization of that, because if I think the big thing and what drew some traffic away from that was they've been there all day. You start bowling at 9, so you're probably there at 8. Right, you just bowled 5 games, then you bowled for 3.5 hours with coaches. You have a lunch break in between, but you're still out there. You're pretty much done for the day by the time that session's over, right? And then you have the table session after. So you give these kids and their families an out, right? You let them leave the building without seeing.
Yeah.
Right. So we got to find a way to kind of bridge what happens in those table sessions closer into what's going on. Without being able to disappear, right? If that makes sense. Now, some people are not there for that, right? You did a great job asking these prospective student athletes the question, why are you here, right?
Yeah.
And generally, a majority of them are there to be recruited, and I think that number is greater than 30%. So if only 30% are making it to the tables, we got to find a way to make that change. But the thing is, I just like you, Mark, I don't know what the fix is. I don't know what the change is. I think a parent and student athlete feedback is going to be more valuable on that front than our random ideas we can throw out. But the parents are echoing that exact piece. And one other thing I thought was interesting, I don't know why we don't think about this because we think about it as a one-way street. We get student athlete information. We get emails, phone numbers, prospective majors, things like that. Parents were talking about they need a registry of the coaches that are there, coaches information, because they want their students to be able to take notes and follow up and all that stuff. Now, granted, if they come to the tables and establish that connection, that happens. But if let's say they were on the women's squad on Saturday and they needed to be home Saturday night and they live 4 hours away, they're probably not going to stay that extra hour and a half for the table session. They're going to go ahead and get out of town. Well, then they still have an option to kind of bridge that gap and maybe what they missed there with the contact information. So I thought that was an interesting piece because I never thought about it that way. We always think about it the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'll give Jeff major props. He added something on Friday night. Yes. He asked around and got a little bit of a feedback, and he decided to have a younger junior gold event. And then some of the 16U and 18U kids could come in and actually practice on what was supposed to be, and I don't know, I never saw the lane sheet, a typical college shot. So I don't know what it was. It wasn't the pattern that was being played on Saturday and Sunday. So initially, and this is just my initial thought, I actually thought about this coming home from campus today. I know it's the summertime. It is the summertime. And I know the vast majority of those kids are dependent upon their parents. But could this be, and could it grow into something to where that Friday from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock is nothing but I'm going to find out everything I can about the schools, about the coach, and totally interact with those coaches for 6 hours. Then you don't have to worry about bowling. You don't have to worry about the engagement sections. And then you actually have kind of a, what, relationship with the coaches that you meet, to where when they do come down and they're on your pair, well, you already know quite a bit about them.
Hmm.
But I think the biggest challenge there is taking those 3 days and making that first day, from a logistic standpoint with the parents, to get those kids there. Do I think it would work better if that wasn't an objection from the parents? I really do. Because now the total focus on Friday is, all right, we're going to come in, we're going to learn about the 20, 30, 40 schools that are there. And then when we go into the tournament on Saturday, we got a really good idea, and we don't have to mess with it once I'm dead tired. Instead, we can go home. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think utilizing that Friday could be very beneficial because, like you're saying, you're able to establish some rapport, some connection with these coaches, to where maybe you're more comfortable with them when they're on the lane, but then you kind of already know how to communicate with them, what they're like, what their personality is. But the thing that I'm taking away that's the biggest thing, and I think it's kind of what makes that last interest session after the lane sessions not as beneficial, is just how worn out they are at the end of that long Saturday, that long Sunday. From bowling 5 games, that's not easy. And, I don't know what the total hourage is of the time we're on the lanes with them. I think it's 3.5 to 4 hours is the right number, right? You add all that up, that's a long day on the lanes.
Yep.
So, they're not mentally going to be as engaged as they would be on like that Friday where, okay, they maybe haven't thrown a ball yet. Bowling's not in the front of their mind.
Yeah.
They can just have conversation, right?
I mean, maybe you get a ball company involved, to where,
do a demo or
giveaways,
something.
either that, or it could be a demo.
Yep.
You could throw a demo in there with Storm or Brunswick or whoever. Obviously with Brunswick and Motive being there in Michigan, I'm just throwing some stuff out there, but I think you need to have one day totally dedicated to the recruiting process of meeting and really engaging with the parents, the family, and the student athletes. All right, what's your bad?
My bad from the weekend is the concept of, the bowling ball, but also the conceptualization that these students have to attacking a pattern that they can see on paper. Okay. Now, me and Mark both understand. Not every bowler that's there has the opportunity to maybe bowl on a lot of sport shot. Maybe they're not taught to understand lane graphs. Maybe they don't know anything about the panels or the history at Thunderbolt, right?
Yeah.
But as me and Mark have talked about before, this is a read and react game. And so that first game, especially on Sunday on the men's squad, we were standing at the end and we could look down to our left and probably see what, Mark, the first 4 pairs-ish?
5, 6.
5 pairs. We're just watching, right?
Yeah.
And there's this one guy that's just lighting them up.
Front 7.
He's got miss room left. He has a little bit right, but he's got tug left. No problem.
Yeah.
You know what? We're watching all these guys bowling. They're not even watching.
Nope.
They're not paying attention to what he's doing. If you look over and you see a guy on the front 6, front 7, I want to know where he's playing, especially on a sports shot. I want to know what's working. What ball's he throwing? Where's he sliding? All that good stuff. How fast he throwing it? But they're either in their phones or they're just talking to somebody else, but they're not facing the lanes. They're not paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's one part of it. The second part of it is when they're actually throwing the ball, they're just doing the same thing over and over again, right? There's no unless they have a parent there that's helping them, which I'll give some credit here to this event. There is kind of more of a divide than maybe you see at places like Junior Gold, where the parents stay a little bit more out of it.
Yeah.
I think that's just the nature of that kind of competition. Also, a little bit of the way Thunderbolt's set up, it kind of makes that easier to happen.
Yeah.
But unless they were getting help, they kind of just kept doing the same thing, right? And on the qualifying days, me and Mark aren't there to get involved, right? We're sitting back there to watch. We don't need to be coaching. It's their tournament. We don't want to be in the way. But you almost feel for some of these kids.
I know.
So the bad was just I don't know where that problem stems from. I mean, it could go back to what we've talked about before with urethane and player development and things like that. That might have a little bit to do with it, especially as those rules have changed. But where have we gone as coaches and people that are developing youth bowlers that they don't know that that's one of the biggest fundamentals of the game?
Well, that right there is a great lead into what my ugly is. Okay.
And
my ugly is what I discovered the lack of not detailed knowledge, but just general knowledge. I mean, how many times did I ask the question, what's the most important asset that you have in your game right now? And they would all look at each other.
Yeah.
And they would go, timing? Nope. Spares? Nope. Mindset? Nope. The bowling ball. The bowling ball. There were kids using bowling balls based upon colors.
I mean, purple bowling balls roll better.
We're not talking about the purple people eater here, all right? We're not talking about the purple hammer. To me, I just think that because of the advancement of technology and how important, and how many times did you hear me say this? I made the Ryan Barnes comparison.
Yeah.
There's probably not a better two-hander right now from a physical aspect of their game than Ryan Barnes. And everybody knew who Ryan Barnes was. I said, but what happens if he doesn't have the right ball and is not matched up playing the right zone of the lane? Is he going to win? No. No, he's not. Okay, and there's maybe few instances where, he decides to make a jump into 25 or 30 and he's lofting the ball 20 feet down the lane and, creating his own little world. Okay, I get it. But in a general statement, if he's not matched up and he doesn't have the right ball in his hand, he's not going to win.
Yeah.
So,
I made the analogy of these, if you're a pro on the tour and you make a TV show, you probably throw it pretty physically good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to. When those guys shoot 160, 170, 180 on TV, is it because they don't throw it good? No.
Yeah.
It's because they're not matched up, right? So, I mean, you're right. That's what the games come down to.
I'm gonna throw this out. All right. I spoke to one of my players who was at I think it was either a week or a week and a half. How long was it at the ITRC? You know how long it was? The Team USA camp?
I think it's about a week and a half total.
10 days, maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, tell me one thing that you can pull from that camp and we can really utilize in this season. What do you think he said?
Matching up?
They spent a ton of time on learning how to really, really understand patterns, really understand topography, really understand ball motion. Because, let's see here, most of those guys and girls, they probably got a really good physical game. But if they're not matched up and they don't have the right ball in their hand, and they're not in the right area of the lane, and they're not getting the right ball motion off the break point, they're probably not doing that well. I was ecstatic when he told me that. And I said, I said, what do we spend the vast majority of our time in practice working on? He goes, matching up and learning ball motion and learning our arsenal. I said, there's a reason we do that. There's a reason that we do that. The ugly part is that you've got enormously talented boys and girls from a physical game aspect that have no idea what their bowling ball is doing.
Mm.
In fact, one time I saw one kid, he made a ball change, came back. I go, why'd you make that ball change? I don't know. I just thought it'd hook more.
Well,
So to me, as a coach, that is really ugly. You know, the other thing was I listened to, did we see kids go 3-bagger, 4-bagger,
yep. They had missed
5-bagger?
That's
And they
the key.
gave us that look of, well, I never thought about that. And then
Yep.
and then the one kid, I think it was from Michigan, that had the front 7 and bowled real well, comes up there and he's like, yeah, he goes, that was obviously the right place to start. Well, how comfortable do you feel playing the gutter? Well, look what I did. Now, I will say this. He was a one-hander. He wasn't a two-hander. All right? And a little additional point to the ugly is I saw way too much stand left, chuck it right in the two-handers.
Yep.
All right. Now, I'm not slamming them. I'm just telling you what was there. And the two-handers had no concept of being able to play down and in. The vast majority of them. All right. And then some actually had the physical capability in their game to play down and in, but just don't do it.
Yeah. Until we got to them.
And
did
it was, all right, I can throw the ugly back into the good, because how cool was it to show those kids how to play the lane and how to play the gutter
Oh, yeah.
and have success and understand why.
Yeah.
So that's my ugly.
It kind of builds right off, like you're saying, what my bad was what are we not teaching these young bowlers about playing those areas of the lane, right?
Yeah.
And understanding and reading, reacting, and matching up. And it was cool that when they saw what happened when they were pushed from their comfort zone and understand the concept of what miss room really is, light bulbs everywhere, game
I know.
changer. They were all in. But kudos to those bowlers who committed to it.
Yeah.
And said, yeah, these guys this is crazy, but I'm going to try it, you know? And our hope is that a majority of those that we were able to interact with on the lanes learn something about their game and learn something about matching up and playing that part of the lane. That's what makes it worth it.
Yeah. Versatility, man. Now, does it mean that the gutter is going to be in play everywhere you go? No. Not at all.
It is a Thunderbolt.
But I really, I even had a mom at the table with her son say, hey, that was cool that you guys did that you forced them to play outside of 5 like that. I was like, well, it's not always there, but you have to be able to recognize when it is. And it was really, really cool. All right. So that was ugly that turned into
Good.
very good. Very good. All right. Any other ugly you want to mention?
I'll be brief. You're going to love this. My ugly, and this is a generalized statement. It's not just the ones that were in attendance. Let's talk about some of these other collegiate coaches for a second, right? Again, everybody does things their own way. Me and Mark do things differently. I get it, right? But it all needs to come back to the fact we want what's best for these student athletes, right?
Yep.
We want there's a home for everybody to bowl collegiately. We want to help them find that home. But most importantly, because we know bowling is not a career choice, we want to help them find what they're passionate about, what they want to study academically, and set them up for a career that they're going to make a living doing and be proud of, right? With the runways out there for them. We want to help them put the plane on the ground, get it going down the runway, and take off, right? That's our job as coaches and as we develop these student athletes.
Absolutely.
I saw and heard too much of, well, we don't have that, but, or let me check and see if we can make that work.
Yeah.
Those aren't options when we're talking about a kid that wants to study HVAC, a kid that wants to study, I don't know, Mark, give me some crazy ones, crane operation, a kid that wants to study pre-dental, whatever it might be.
Astrophysics.
There are bowling programs at universities around this country that have the right academic program for them, right?
They do.
And if that coach wasn't in the building, you know what I was keeping a tab up here?
Yeah.
I know a guy that could help. I know a program that could help you with that. Let me get in touch with me, and I'll help you. I'll introduce you to them, and we'll get you in the right spot. Right? Not, well, I can't make that work, but if you want an underwater basket weaving degree to help you get halfway there, and then we can figure it out later, yeah, come on, bring it. That's not what it's about. Of course, do I want every best bowler in the building? Of course.
It's very competitive.
Really, but
it is competitive, man.
The root of the conversation, the root at what becomes a student athlete's journey starts and ends with them. What they want, what they're passionate about, what they want their career to be. And it's odd to say, but bowling has nothing to do with it. And too many of these coaches make bowling all of it.
Well said. Well said. And, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that I can add to that except when you're in a situation where you're in a competitive environment, but ultimately what the objective is, that's what you have to really end up focusing on. Right? Now, in that process, is it a competitive environment from a recruiting standpoint to get college bowlers? Absolutely. But I think the biggest thing is you have to respect each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some coaches, they've been around for a while. Some haven't been around. I think the respect word can definitely be improved. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, I'm not saying we all got to be buddies and all that and everything, but it is a small industry. It's a small sport. And everybody, for the most part, knows everybody. And if there's something you don't like about somebody, all right, the biggest way to find out what's really wrong, you talk to them. You communicate. All right? And I just think sometimes because other coaches do certain things a certain way and we do things a certain way, that they're either – I don't know. Afraid's not the right word. They just want to stay in their own little cell, their own little area, and they would rather, say things than do things, because it's much easier to say things than it is to do things. And I'll talk to anybody. We're pretty wide open here, and if somebody's got a problem with something that I've done, just come talk to me.
Yeah.
All right. This is not, I'm an old man, for crying out loud. What are we going to do? Go behind the building and throw down and set up the octagon and get after it? Just show some respect and understand that just like every other coach, we are all in. We are committed to doing what we can to improve our programs and give collegiate student athletes a better opportunity. Now, do we want to win? Well, heck yeah. But at the same time, you have to be respectful, because you know what? Nobody's getting rich on this. Nobody's getting a player to be named later. Nobody is getting a 7-figure contract over 5 years to coach college bowling.
98%.
At least I don't know.
98% aren't getting a 6-figure contract.
Steel Smith may get 6 figures. I don't know. And more power to him if he does, because you know what? He earned it.
Yeah. Now, just like you, I'm going to take my ugly and spin it back into the good category. we spent a lot of time when we're talking to these prospective student athletes about you have to own the recruiting process.
Yeah.
You have to ask questions. You have to do discovery. You have to figure out what's the best fit for you. And that was a great message to give them right before those coaches' discussions.
Yeah.
Because then they are equipped with the right questions to figure out, okay, from a program standpoint, does this have what I need? Does this have what I'm looking for? Are the non-negotiables met? You started every conversation with the list. What are 3 to 5 things that are most important to you that you have to have in a collegiate bowling program?
Yeah.
Well, any student athlete that has that list figured out and knows how to ask questions to figure out the answers to what's on that list, they're at a big advantage because they're going to make the decision quicker. And when spots fill up, they're going to have those spots. But then also, these student athletes can really dive in and judge these coaches and programs about what they're being told versus what exists versus what they see themselves being in part of that program. Right? They're able to kind of paint that picture by asking those open-ended questions that are detailed, tough, but
to ask questions and really try and help their path for wherever they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that are going to decide. And I will say this, all right, the only ugly thing that I'm going to add is there was a coach that called us a used car salesman. All right. Now, you tell everybody what I did. I didn't get upset, did I?
No.
Just like, okay. I said, more like stockbrokers or financial advisors. All right. We're not used car salesmen. And
Nope.
I think in front of both of our tables that we had moved together, and Jeff had to kick us out. Now, do you think those families would be there if we're not motivated and we're not grinding and we're not trying to create that competitive advantage, but at the same time, realizing where's the best fit for this student athlete? I mean, how many times did I go here? No, you need to talk to Jonathan, man. You need to talk to Jonathan. Oh, no, nursing here. You need to talk to Mark, man. Go talk to Mark. He'll give you the scoop.
Yeah.
That's how things work out best for the student athletes.
On the same page, willing to do what's best for the student athlete, realizing that their experience is the most important thing, and all we want to do is see them be successful in life. We want to see them bowl too.
Yeah.
But that's just a part of the story.
All right, man. Big thanks to the parents too. The parents were phenomenal this past weekend. They really were. I know I gave the parent major props to the kid that had the front seven. I was like, man, hey, nice job, man. He was the only one that figured it out. He was like, what? Really? They are going to have 3 events in 7 regions. Bigger payout, bigger entry fee, more media exposure according to the release.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 other things were mentioned. One, they're still going to have a regional tour. We just don't know what it is. Okay? Obviously, when any sport, any company comes out with a very broad and general announcement, a lot of questions will remain. Now, how quick for a player to show their versatility over a short period of time? It can't just be, a 54 game or a 56 game event and boom, yeah, you're on tour. I mean, you really need to put in a combine that proves the ability of somebody that earns the opportunity to play at the highest level. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And then I got a couple other things to add to it.
Yeah, I think this goes to prove a large societal problem we have today is people see something before it's all worked out and they get all worked up because it's different and it's changed and they don't have the full picture and they jump to it because they want to be the first to report it, and it just becomes a overly complicated mess where it's just a bunch of complaining. Nobody knows what's real. It's just an absolute disaster.
Speculation.
That's what we saw over the last few days.
Yeah.
nobody knew, right? And then I will give major props to the PBA. The release, while they gave all the details they could right now, because obviously they can't give you everything. They still have to work out some details.
Yeah.
But they said, here's the facts. We're investing in this in a different way. It's been done the same way for a long time, so we're going to change it. We're going to give you PBA Junior. We're going to give you PBA 50. We're going to give you the regional tour. But we're going to put these 3 elite events on in each region. We're going to add this combine element. There's going to be some investment from a media standpoint in this. This is what we've been working on. And the response was either, oh, I didn't see that coming. This isn't so bad. And then the other side, the people that are still negative on it, because I believe they're negative on it because they don't understand it. They don't know what's happened. Right? But all the other ones who jumped to the conclusion earlier, oh, this is going away, well, they're going to kill bowling. They're like, oh, well, maybe not. Maybe we should give them a chance here. I would say the pulse on what I saw on social media today is optimism.
Yeah.
People aren't singing praises yet, giving the PBA their flowers yet, because it's still got to be proven. But I think people are going, oh, well, I want to see this out. I want to see what happens. And I think that's a good thing. It gives the PBA a chance to, I think, prove a lot of people wrong, but in a good way, if that makes sense.
Yep, I agree. 2 things, vision and opportunity. And whatever vision they have, I hope that vision is tied into opportunity. And we're going to get into the college players, how this all affects that situation here in a minute. But I want to mention Chuck Landy. Now, some people may know that name, some people may not. The significance of Chuck Landy, he was the first 2-handed player in the world, for the most part, from a competitive standpoint. All right, there's a documentary out there that you can find on him. And here, I'm going to pull this up. If you haven't seen this post by Chuck Landy right there, this post right here, it's located on the Southwest Bowlers Group, because I believe he lives somewhere in Texas. I can't remember where he lives in Texas. Probably the best response I've seen from anybody after the PBA made the announcement. And here's a guy who's been around the game forever, longtime PBA member, cutting edge dude from starting the whole 2-hand thing many back in the 80s. And a lot of people may not realize that. But Chuck understands what's taking place. And the vision that the PBA and Bowlero have, hopefully that is driven by what I mentioned earlier, opportunity. And, Chuck in his post, he addresses a lot of the challenges. This is not going to be easy.
Right.
It's not going to be easy because this is definitely change. People don't like change. And the one thing that I hope they do, and I'll get your thought on this, I hope they go grassroots, for lack of a better term, in the frontline regional program. Okay? Then the touring pros cannot participate in that front line. All right? Then the second step is the 3 elite events, regional elite events. This is where it gets kind of sticky. Do you let the touring professionals bowl in those 3 events? That's going to be a huge decision. All right? But the unknown right now, we don't know how large the field side's going to be for the national tour. I mean, there's some speculation out there, but now since you're putting together the combine, and I mean, how many players out of those elite regionals are going to get spots? Is that going to be the case? There's a lot of unknown from a number standpoint. But with the combine, there's people out there that want a really tiny field for the tour. 24 guys, 32 guys, whatever the number is. I even heard, Big Mike on Sweep the Rack, he wants like 12 or 16. I mean, he just wants these, definitely the cream of the crop. The 16 guys, and then everybody else can chase those 16 spots. Me, on the other hand, I think you take what worked well in the past and you take the structure that you have in place that you're building toward that vision and you combine both of them. All right? To where opportunity exists. And I think that is the biggest thing. That is what is going to keep people going. Because right now, under the current format that they had, there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
Very little. Very little. So now you got, for lack of a better term, you got, double A or A ball. Then you got triple A, and you're one step away from the big leagues, from the national tour. But are you going to let guys go up and down from the big to the triple A? Well, it happens, but most of the time when it happens in baseball and hockey and some of the NBA stuff is for rehab, overcoming an injury, something like that. In this case, it's going to be, well, no, you're going to be able to double dip if that's the case. Or, no, you've got your national tour, you've earned your card. That's how you need to earn a living. If, whatever number that is, those are the guys that truly want to earn their living bowling. And let's be realists here, Jonathan. Right now, there might be 5, maybe 10 guys, and that's probably too many, that are truly earning a living bowling. And I'm not talking about outside of the PBA Tour.
Right.
With everything else that they're bowling and stuff. When you look at the earnings, there's probably about, 8 guys that earn a decent living. A 6-figure gross income. Remember, you got to pay expenses and taxes. So that number is super small. All right, well, let's see what they're doing. Let's see if they're turning it into a national tour again, where it was like in the 80s and early 90s, where you could have 30, 40, 50 guys that could truly make a living being out on tour. What's the right number? I don't know. What I hope that the vision is single A, double A to triple A to the bigs. And then once they get that bigs filled, then you take X number of players from the combine. All right? That's where the college kids get their opportunity. Got to be a graduating senior. You have to have graduated. And I hope they do that, and I have my reason. My reason is this. If they don't have a successful combine, they got to have that degree to fall back on. And some people might say, well, what if, they own their own business and they decided to drop out of college and all? They don't fall under that category. Those spots for the combine need to go to X number of college graduates. All right? Now, in our position, there's opportunity, truly opportunity there for college kids to graduate, move on to the combine, and get their shot. If they don't make it through the combine, you know where they go back to? Now they go back to the grassroots.
Yeah.
And single A and double A ball. And then X number of those guys, well, now you get to bowl in the 3 PBA Elite Regional Tour events. And then you take X players from there. And then guess what? You got the combine against there. Now you have flow and a vision for somebody that truly wants to try and make a living bowling. All of this, Jonathan, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. One, the PBA's got to make money. They're not going to do anything that's not going to make them money. And I made a huge post yesterday that kind of lined out, are we really asking the right question if all of a sudden, another tour popped up and all that and everything. All right. They have to make money. They cannot lose money. Well, how do you make money? You have to increase your revenue streams. because then you get into a situation maybe where guys end up just bowling for their money. Well, according to that press release, they're giving a pretty good indication that they got a plan in the works.
Yep.
Agree?
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen as far as how is that revenue stream going to increase? I mean, do you not agree that if they're not making money, they're not going to, we're going to be talking about the same thing here in 2 or 3 years. So what are your thoughts about what I got?
Two things. One, we talk about the money in the question marks. I think the PBA Tour kind of also realized we're at a point we can either try something and get better or this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. You get to a crossroads where you're like, we won't survive this way. We need to do something differently. I don't know how close you follow the PGA Tour, but they recently announced in June they're changing their structure about the PGA Tour Championship Series, which is the main tour, but also the PGA Tour Challenger Series, which is that second tier. And
is that formerly the Corn Ferry Tour?
I think so. Yeah, okay. I think that's what they changed it to. Now, here's the key. You have actual promotion and relegation that makes sense and it works. But the other thing is it gives that Challenger Series, what they're calling the Development Tour, more of a chance to make prize money. And so the purses, I just pulled it up because I wanted to confirm this. The purses of the Challenger Series, now I get this is golf, right? Not bowling. But the purses of the Challenger Series, which are going to comprise of at least 20 events, have purses of at least $4 million. Right? So that is good money down there on the development tour for the fall. Yes, they can do that.
Yeah.
But it's better than it was, yes. Right? So they're kind of in a similar situation where they like the Corn Ferry Tour is fine, but how can we make it better? What really makes this work better for me in my mind with how it pertains to golf, and I'll relate that back to bowling, is when you're talking about FedEx Cup points, when you're talking about somebody, earning their card, losing their card, there's an avenue here for their career to work, right? Mm-hmm. And there's options. Like you're saying, if you're not the 5 to 10 top guys on the PBA Tour, you're not making a living doing this anyway, right? Nope. And so this concept of these elite events kind of serve what this equation is hinting at, where, okay, we have some larger pursed events that are going to be just below that tour level to maybe give those guys a chance at it, but at the very least a chance at some money. Now, I think the biggest question marks people have around the whole situation is what happens to their little regional events that they have every year and the little centers across, let's just say, Texas, right? What happens to the regional at Hilltop? What happens to the regional at Corsicana? Nobody knows yet. We can't answer those questions. But I think from a qualification standpoint and trying to match, because there's nothing wrong with trying to do what other leagues do really well. And the effort to try to match what other leagues have figured out from having both a national and regional touring series in conjunction, they kind of had to do something because it wasn't going to work the way it was. Now we're talking about folding the combine into this. If you haven't watched it, go back. I think it's episode 10. Watch what me and Mark said about the combine, right? We were very intentional, but if you really want college players to have a chance, that's it.
Yep.
That's the key, because what do they have now? The top 2 or 4 get in, and they're based off statistical categories that could be largely skewed based on where you bowl in college.
No doubt.
So we're actually getting the best collegiate players or the best young amateur players. Either way, we're getting them out on the tour. That's good for the tour too. So jury's out, but I love the overall feel of optimism that I've seen. Some people don't like change. That's okay. But you know what? I'm giving the PBA the credit of the doubt. And I think, Mark, going back to what I started saying at the beginning, they were at a crossroads. It's not, we can't survive this way. We either have to go try something really cool and something different, or we just let this run its course and run its time. And I would argue that most bowlers don't want to see the PBA Tour disappear or don't want to see all regional events disappear. So guess what? You're going to have to give up a little something. You're going to have to give up a little time of change. But I think where it could end up is better than where things would have been if we just would have kept the same formula.
No, I agree. All right, check this out. Let me add this up here. So here's the current, most updated earnings. So at the top, you have EJ Tackett. Call it $318,000. All right, no doubt, number one player in the world. Number two is Zach Wilkins with $191,000. Third, Brandon Bonta, which that might be the best from an earnings standpoint rookie season that a rookie's had in a long, long time. $165,000. Number four, Simo, $139,000. Dombrowski, $150,000. Six, Chris Vi, $120,000. Boo Kroll, $144,000. It's seventh. Eighth, Graham Faw, $109,000. Jason Belmonte, number 9, $107,000. And then the number 10 player, $78,400. So you only had 8 players on tour earn more than $100,000. And that's gross. That's not after expense and taxes and everything else. Now, you tell me how it is feasible. I guess it is feasible. I mean, I guess that's the wrong word. Because you can do anything. I mean, you can eat beanie weenies and ramen and do whatever you want. But let's call it a typical life, I guess is the right word, where you have rent or a mortgage and insurance and
with the current tour schedule, 8 months out of the year they can do another job.
Well, and that's what most of them do.
Yeah.
You know, Alex Horton, forgot about him. He made $133,000, but he's got 2 wins in there, right?
Right.
You know, he was the only other one. But you go down, you would think, you know, in 30th place, you got Nick Pate at $33,120. Gross. Not a lot.
Sponsor checks better be footing the bill on
that. Well, you said it. You have another job. Now, why is this so important to the college game? Opportunity. Just like what we talked about, man. And that's how we're going to move on to the next thing. But this is huge for the college game if the PBA has a vision of the growth that we are experiencing in collegiate bowling to take advantage and actually have a vision of opportunity for the graduating collegiate players. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to look dead in the camera right now. And if they do this, I hope and pray it's for graduates. Graduates. All right. Now, if you want to throw other people in other classifications, you can. But there needs to be somebody that has bowled collegiately, earned their degree, and wants to pursue the PBA Tour. Now, if somebody dropped out, okay, they still have opportunities. They can still go single A, double A, work their way up, or they'll have a category at the combine for those people, for those players. But give the college graduates an opportunity to bowl on the PBA Tour with a degree. I mean, am I wrong by saying that? Is that
it? Perfectly ties into my 2 rants from earlier. We want to see these student athletes be successful in life, and we want to see them graduate and make careers that they're proud of. And we're not saying that none of them are going to ever try to bowl on tour.
Yeah.
But we're realists. We know the percentages of that and how small of a percentage there is that they can actually make a living doing it, right? And so this ties in the fact that, okay, if they want to try it, they can try it. But you know what? They're still going to have that other option. They're still going to have something else. But just because they finished their degree to have that other option, it doesn't penalize them from having a fair chance.
Yep. You know, axis tilt, this, it doesn't matter, man. It really doesn't. It's that. Give them the opportunity. All right, moving on. Last thing I got. Did you take a peek at the rules? I guess kind of the initial rules. I haven't seen the entire rules for the Tier 1 event that's going to take place in Wichita, Kansas.
Nope, not yet.
There's one glaring statement in the email.
Oh, boy.
What do you think it is?
Does that have to do with urethane?
It does. No urethane. No urethane. And I'm thinking this is going to be a trend, man.
To my understanding, that's going to be the trend for all Tier 1 and postseason events.
Yeah. Now, whether it's good or bad or whatever, I am making the decision as a coach. We will not have any urethane in our arsenal.
You beat me to it.
I did.
Because here's my point. If you can't use it in the postseason, why even try to use it?
Agree.
Do I agree with how it was handled last year? No, because we had it all season.
Yeah.
So, but if this year, hey, the big Tier 1 events and postseason, we know ahead of time, no urethane. All right, cool. We know what we're gonna do.
Yep.
Right. And so I think, small sample size because the only event we had last year, or Mark, you technically bowled 2 of them, but the only events we had last year without urethane completely across every team was postseason. Yep. I can't say that it helped or hurt the game much, right? Because it was just one of the tools they took away. Do I think it exposed certain programs and certain athletes that don't have the skill set to do anything different? Yes. Mm-hmm. I think you can definitely say that. I don't think it made a difference on lane play and things like that as much because guess what? On the guy's side, doesn't matter what you put out, what you're throwing, it's going to blow up. It's going to get ugly. It's just part of it, unless it's a completely extreme oil pattern, which, hey, we've seen those too. But if that's the rules we're moving with, then as a coach, why would you have urethane in the bag, right? Yeah. Because when it comes down to it and you're trying to punch your ticket to the top 16 to make the national championship, you're not going to have it.
Yeah. So that's the call right there. I think it's the right call. Yeah. Hey, check this out. Can you – I don't know if you could see that or not.
Oh, there's the new panels.
Yeah.
Or there's the old ones going out?
They're going out.
Okay.
Yeah. And I went by our home center, Holiday Lanes. There is some interesting stuff underneath those panels, dude. I mean, we found like a 20-year-old bag of potato chips, blades, saw blades, bottle caps. That stuff gets down there. I have no idea. But
how long have those panels been in there?
I don't know.
A long time, obviously.
Long time. 2 weeks is how long it takes. And man, they had a crew in there.
Yeah, because they're doing everything, right? They're doing the settee area. They're doing the panels. Yeah.
So. I mean, Mark White, his crew, they were getting after it. They started yesterday. They have all the panels in, and they're ripping everything out. And he said, yeah, man. He goes, well, I'll have it done in 2 weeks. So I know my student athletes, they report to campus on, what day is that? On the first day of class is the 19th. So this week and next week, and then the week that they're back on campus is when hopefully things will be very well completed and we can see what the new panels are like. It was cool because Mark D took me through how the whole process works. And it was very, very interesting to see that. And when they were pulling out the wood to see the integrity, I guess is the right word, of the actual lane that they were pulling up. Oh my gosh. I mean, you could visually see what topography is.
Yeah.
And 20 years of wear and tear even on the synthetic panels. If you were to pull those up and turn them sideways and actually visually see what the topography looks like, then you can understand how important it is to have some knowledge and some history on the panels that you're bowling on. But really an amazing process. There's going to be dust everywhere, and it's quite
messy job.
Quite the process. But
Yeah.
Cool, very excited, can't wait. Did you see the new releases that came out from Brunswick?
Yeah, these were announced back at Bowl Expo, but this is the second wave of them. So we knew they were coming. We kind of knew what they were. I will say the one ball on there that so far looks like it's going to be a really good option, especially on the collegiate game, is going to be that Intel Tour.
Dead on.
Low diff, non-HK22 solid cover.
Dead on.
We're definitely going to punch up a few of those. I mean, in all generalities, low diff bowling balls, and especially the guys' hands in college, usually look pretty good.
Yeah.
Much like the Alerts, Venom Shocks, Effect Tours, things like that. So, looking forward to seeing how those go. They're you can't miss them. They're bright pink in color. It's not the quietest looking bowling ball, but the new combat will be pretty good as well, I believe. So, the second wave of releases is finally out. Lots of options for league bowlers to start thinking about piecing together their fall arsenals, because in about a month time, fall leagues are starting out. So,
hey, we're going to practice on Friday.
We are. Yep. I need it.
I got a little derby. Got a derby this weekend.
I just need to start throwing the ball better. So I just need practice. You got to get ready for the derby. I just need to get ready to throw a ball 60 feet. So
got a little derby at Redbird Lanes.
Yeah,
Billy
one of our DBU centers that we use. So
you know what the big question is?
What?
3 words. Can I carry?
No. Jury's out on that one.
It didn't happen last time. Maybe something's changed. I got different marbles to throw down there. So
that's right.
We'll see how that happens. All right. Once again, my final thing is a big thanks once again to Jeff Wirtz and his wife.
Absolutely.
For putting on a great show for us and all the coaches there. And look forward to going back next year. Hopefully bigger and better, but definitely the highlight of our summer before we go back to the action and have all the student athletes back on campus. So thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
And man, we'll get after it on Friday.
Yeah. Next Monday, I'll be on the Bowling with the Fef. So we're friends of the program now, right? We've gotten to talk to them a couple times, so make sure you tune in to watch that. I think we're going to walk through quite a few things. So I'm sure it'll be a good episode.
I will be watching and listening to that. Good stuff. All right, man. PBA, have a vision. Make that vision opportunity for everybody involved with the game. And we're going to see what happens. All right. That's it. We're out of here.